No one in the 43rd floor executive wing of Ardent Systems ever noticed the maid. That was the unspoken rule of the place. Suits were seen, titles were respected, numbers were worshipped, but the people who cleaned the glass walls at dawn and emptied trash after midnight were invisible. Her name was Lena. At least, that was what the badge said, though no one had ever spoken it out loud. Every evening at precisely 8:45 p.m., she entered the CEO's private office with a quiet cart, yellow gloves folded neatly, eyes down, movements efficient and practiced. The room itself was a monument to power, dark walnut walls, city lights pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows, and a massive curved monitor glowing with financial dashboards that controlled nearly $200 million in active investments. On this particular night, the air was heavier than usual. The company was bleeding. A critical algorithm error had frozen a $200 million acquisition deal, and despite an army of analysts, engineers, and consultants flown in from 3 countries, the problem remained unsolved. The CEO, Daniel Hargreave, hadn't slept in 36 hours. He stood near the window, tie loosened, staring at the city like it had personally betrayed him. The board wanted answers by morning. Investors were circling. One wrong move and the empire he'd built over 15 years would collapse in a single press release. Lena entered quietly, as always. She wiped the desk, emptied the bin, and moved toward the computer. Normally she never touched it. But tonight, the screen was still on, lines of code, error logs, cascading failures repeating over and over like a broken heartbeat. Lena froze. Her eyes narrowed, not in fear, but recognition. Something in the logic was wrong. Not complex wrong, careless wrong. A recursive condition looping endlessly, choking the system. She hesitated. This wasn't her place. She was the maid. That was the rule. But then she thought of the engineers she'd passed in the hallway earlier, heads in hands, voices shaking. She thought of the job postings she'd seen vanish from the internal board in recent weeks. Layoffs were coming. She took a breath, pulled the keyboard closer, and sat down. Her fingers moved fast, faster than anyone would have believed. In seconds, she traced the flaw, rewrote a condition, optimized the loop, and ran a test simulation. The screen stabilized. The error disappeared. The acquisition model recalculated, clean and perfect. Time elapsed, 32 seconds. Behind her, Daniel turned. He hadn't meant to watch. At first, he was confused, then stunned, then completely still. He watched the maid, the invisible woman, solve in half a minute what his top minds couldn't fix in 3 days. Lena stood up immediately, panic flashing across her face. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to." Daniel raised a hand, his voice barely steady. "Do you know what you just did?" She shook her head. "I just fixed the loop." Silence filled the room, thick and electric. Daniel walked to the desk, eyes scanning the screen, heart pounding. It worked. Perfectly. The system was live. The $200 million deal was unlocked. He looked at Lena again, really looked at her, not as staff, not as background, but as a mind. "Where did you learn to do this?" he asked. Lena hesitated, then spoke the truth she'd never expected to share here. She had a master's degree in applied mathematics. Top of her class. She'd applied to Ardent Systems 3 times. Never got an interview. Bills piled up. Her mother got sick. Cleaning paid faster than waiting for a callback. Daniel felt something unfamiliar twist in his chest, shame. The next morning, the entire company was summoned to the main auditorium. Rumors flew. A miracle save, a last-minute breakthrough. Engineers whispered names, none of them correct. Daniel stepped onto the stage, eyes scanning hundreds of employees. "Last night," he began, "this company was minutes away from disaster." He paused. "And the person who saved us isn't who you think." The doors opened. Lena walked in, wearing a borrowed blazer, hands shaking. Gasps rippled through the room. Daniel continued, his voice firm. "She solved a $200 million problem in seconds. Not because she was hired to, but because she was capable." He turned to Lena. Effective immediately, Lena is our new head of algorithmic strategy. Shock exploded across the room. Some faces burned with disbelief. Others with awe. Daniel raised his voice one final time. Let this be a lesson. Talent doesn't always wear a title. And from today on, we will never overlook it again. Lena stood there, overwhelmed, life rewritten in a single night. And somewhere between the applause and the silence, a story was born, one that proved that brilliance can come from the most unexpected places. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you to never underestimate anyone, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because more powerful, life-changing stories like this are coming, and the next one might change how you see the world.